All right, let's get right into it. The NFL draft is right around the corner, and you and I both know this time of year always brings a mix of excitement and anxiety for Chiefs Kingdom. But now, with GM Brett Veach finally giving us a glimpse behind the curtain, things just got a whole lot more interesting. Speaking recently about the upcoming draft, Veach laid it out in a way that leaves little room for guessing. He said, "From a 1,000-foot view, it's probably safe to say that offensive line, defensive line, and cornerback are areas where the draft has some numbers. And boom, just like that, we've got our first major clue about what the Chiefs might be planning. So what does that actually mean for us? Well, this isn't just GM speak. It's a signal. Veach isn't hiding the fact that these three areas, OL, DL, and CB, are not only deep in this draft class, but they're also real areas of concern for the team heading into 2025. And when your general manager puts it out there like that, you better believe there's a strategy brewing behind the scenes. But here's where it gets interesting. Veach also mentioned that they won't shy away from adding to the wide receiver room if the right player is there. That little detail, it changes the game. It tells us that while there's a clear focus, the door is still open for surprises. Now I want to bring you into this conversation. Let's make this video interactive. Head to the comments and answer this. Out of those three, offensive line, defensive line, or cornerback, where do you think the Chiefs should go first in the draft? Drop your vote down there, and if you see someone with the same thought, give it a like. And hey, if you're enjoying the breakdown so far, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. We're pushing toward our goal of 4,000 subscribers, and every single one counts. Seriously, your support helps keep the total Chiefs community strong and growing. All right, now that we've broken down what Veach actually said, let's dive into the biggest red flag on this roster. And it's one that could make or break Mahomes' 2025 season. Let's be real. You and I both saw it last season. The offensive line, especially at left tackle, was a problem. And when you have a generational quarterback like Patrick Mahomes, the last thing you want is uncertainty protecting his blind side. Now, the Chiefs did bring in Jalon Moore during free agency, signing him to a 2-year deal. But let's not kid ourselves. This wasn't a headline-grabbing move. Moore has started just 12 games in 4 seasons. That's not the kind of experience that makes you sleep well at night when you know your quarterback is taking snap after snap behind him. Even NFL analyst Brian Baldinger didn't hold back. He called Moore's signing a Band-Aid. That's harsh, but is it wrong? So here's the real question. Are the Chiefs putting all their eggs in Jalon Moore's basket to protect Mahomes in 2025? Because if that's the plan, we might be holding our breath on every drop back. And that's why offensive line, especially left tackle, has to be at the top of the list come draft night. The risk of standing pat is just too big. Now think about this. What if the Chiefs land a top-tier rookie LT who can step in right away, someone who doesn't just plug the hole but reinforces the entire offensive foundation? There are names out there in this draft class with real potential, talents like Amarius Mims from Georgia or Kingsley Suamataia from BYU could be in play if Veach is willing to be aggressive. Let's throw it to you again. This is your moment to jump in. Do you trust Jalon Moore to protect Mahomes for a full season? Or do you think the Chiefs have to draft a left tackle early? Let me know in the comments right now and be honest. Don't hold back. And if you're fired up about the draft like I am, smash that like button so this video gets out to more Chiefs fans like you. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now's the time. Be part of the crew that hits 4,000 subscribers with us. It's a small click, but it means a lot. All right, now we've looked at the offensive side of the trenches. But what about the other side? Let's shift focus to the defense, because pressure and coverage win championships. Now that we've covered the offensive line, let's flip the field and talk defense. Because Brett Veach didn't just mention the offensive line in his draft preview, he specifically called out 2 more positions: defensive line and cornerback. And if you've been watching the Chiefs closely, you know why. Even with Chris Jones anchoring the middle and George Karlaftis emerging as a real edge threat, there's still room for growth along that defensive front. Last season, we saw moments where opposing quarterbacks had way too much time in the pocket. You remember that Bengals game, right? The pressure just wasn't consistent. When the front four can't get home, even a strong secondary starts to crack. And, speaking of the secondary, cornerback is another area Veach has his eye on. While Trent McDuffie has been a breakout star and L'Jarius Sneed gave us some lockdown moments, depth remains a concern. You can't play elite defense in today's NFL with just two reliable corners. Injuries happen, matchups shift, and the league is loaded with top-tier receivers who punish any coverage missteps. Let's be honest. There were a few games last year where you could feel the secondary getting stretched thin, especially late in games. That's not something you want to see repeated in a playoff push. The good news? This draft is deep with defensive talent. On the line, names like Jared Verse out of Florida State or Jer'Jon Newton from Illinois could be major additions. At corner, guys like Kool-Aid McKinstry or Nate Wiggins might be there if the board falls the right way. But here's the twist. With both DL and CB being needs, how do the Chiefs decide which to prioritize? So let me ask you, if you were, in Brett Veach's shoes, would you rather boost the pass rush or lock down the secondary with a cornerback? Tell me in the comments, which side of the defense do you think deserves that first-round pick? And if you're liking how deep we're getting into the draft strategy, let me know by hitting that like button. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. We're bringing Chiefs content like this all the way through the draft and beyond. All right, defense is in the mix, but Veach threw in one more curveball, something nobody expected. Let's talk about the possibility of adding another weapon to Mahomes' arsenal, just when you thought the draft plan was set. OL, DL, CB, Brett Veach adds a little twist. He made it clear, even though wide receiver isn't a top priority, the Chiefs won't hesitate to take one if the right guy is on the board. Let's break this down. The Chiefs' current wide receiver room is still a work in progress. Rashee Rice showed promise last year, but with uncertainty surrounding his off-field situation, and with Marquez Valdes-Scantling gone, the need for a dependable WR2 or even a future WR1 becomes very real. Sure, we've got Travis Kelce, but he's not getting younger. The offense needs fresh legs and fresh fire. So what if the Chiefs are sitting at pick 32 and a top-tier WR, someone like Brian Thomas Jr. from LSU or Xavier Worthy from Texas, is still available? That's a hard name to pass up, even if you walked into draft night planning to focus on the trenches. Veach said it himself. If there's an impact player available, they're going to consider it, receiver included. And you know what? That makes sense. Because at the end of the day, Mahomes is your franchise, and giving him another weapon might be just as valuable as shoring up protection or stacking the defense. Let me throw this to you now. If one of the top wide receivers falls to the Chiefs in the first round, do you take him or stick with the plan and focus on the line? Comment below. I really want to know how you would play this. And hey, if you're enjoying the breakdown so far and want to be the first to know when we drop our final mock draft, don't forget to hit that notification bell. That way, every time we post, you'll get it straight to your phone. No delay. All right, now we've laid out all the cards. Offensive line, defensive front, cornerback, and even wide receiver. Let's tie it all together and talk about what might actually go down on draft night. All right, you've heard the options. Brett Veach didn't leave much to the imagination when he pointed to offensive line, defensive line, and cornerback as the logical landing spots in the early rounds. And he even left the door cracked open for wide receiver. Now the clock is ticking, and the Chiefs are on the verge of making a decision that could shape the future of this team and Mahomes' legacy for years to come. So, where do things really stand? Looking at the roster today, offensive line, specifically left tackle, still feels like the most urgent need. You don't roll into a season banking on a guy with 12 starts in 4 years to protect your MVP quarterback unless you're truly out of options. And Veach doesn't strike me as someone who settles. On the other hand, The defense is what kept us in some tough games last year. And reinforcing the line with another edge rusher or a disruptive interior presence? That could be the piece that makes this already top-tier unit completely dominant. Same goes for cornerback depth. We've seen how valuable that is when playoff time rolls around. But what if, when the pick comes, the best player on the board is a wide receiver too talented to pass up? This is what makes the draft beautiful and brutal. It's not always about needs. Sometimes it's about opportunity. And Veach has shown us time and again that he's not afraid to take a swing when the moment is right. So here's where I want to hear from you. Seriously. Let's make this fun. Drop your prediction in the comments. What position will the Chiefs target with their first-round pick? OL, DL, CB, or WR? Let's make it a community challenge. Whoever nails it, we'll give you a shout-out in our draft recap video. And don't forget, here on Total Chiefs, we're going all in on the NFL draft. From early rumors to final grades, we've got you covered every step of the way. So if you're not already subscribed, now's the time to hit that button and join our family of passionate Chiefs.